we all know that the Pokemon Company has some bias towards which Pokemon they print on their cards. Have you ever checked the bias and looked at how bad it is for the starter Pokemon? Well, this episode I'm talking about Primarina, one of the most hated Pokemon, starter Pokemon, based on the Pokemon cards. So recently I wanted to look into something for personal reasons. Like, I was just curious what kind of people have to work at the Pokemon Company to only print 3 Primarina art cards. We only have 3 pictures that I can look at to describe to you what Primarina looks like, what kind of vibe Primarina gives off. And I was like, okay, so there's only 3 Primarina cards. What is this like for all the other starter Pokemon? It can't be the same. Recently, I'm seeing Decidueye GX get printed. We have Incineroar EX. And, they printed Charizard out every single year, right? So what's going on? I put together a Google Sheet probably like a couple weeks ago. And in this Google Sheet, I calculated how many cards. Well, I took I divided the amount of cards that each final evolution from the starter Pokemon has. I divided that by how many years it's been since its first print. So you get the average of like how many cards are printed each year for these final evolution starter Pokemon. And guess who's right up at the top? Charizard is sitting up at the top. Apparently Charizard has 100 cards printed compared to Primarina's 3. And we all know why. Like, Charizard's the most loved Pokemon out there. Maybe I'm a little salty about how busted OP Charizard EX is right now in the Pokemon Standard format, and they just don't let anything else be that good. Some of the other Pokemon that are up at the top of this list are all of the newer Pokemon, like Skeledirge, Quaquaval, Meowscarada, and that's just because they were printed recently. So, like, in this last year, they've gotten 8 cards. So, like, that's a lot. And then my boy Primarina is sitting 4th from bottom. Now, I am counting for Primarina's Rainbow Art Rare and Full Art, which are the same card unless you want it to look like a rainbow or you want it to look like a normal Primarina. And it's sitting at the bottom with Emboar, Meganium, and Swampert, which I gotta do a podcast episode on those guys too. But not only is Primarina like not well represented in the cards, I just feel like I don't hear much talk about Primarina as a Pokemon. Like, as a starter, I feel like I haven't seen much, if any, of like promotional content or I don't know, anything else. People just don't talk about it. And maybe that's just because I didn't like grow up with Sun and Moon, because she was probably pushed a lot back then. But today, how many years later? I don't even know. Like, you just don't see her. So I have 3 Primarina cards in front of me. I have the regular art GX, because the full art just looks like a pretty basic Primarina full art you can expect. I have a 2018 Primarina and a 2017 Primarina. So it's been since 2017 since they've paid attention to her. So the first Primarina card I have, Primarina is a stage 2, and actually for everyone who does not know what this Pokemon looks like, I'll give you kind of a rough idea. So Primarina looks kind of like a seal. Almost, it's like a mermaid seal with definitely a more humanoid shape. So Primarina's skin tone is white, and her face kind of has that circus seal look to it. So it's a very pointy nose, and she has a very thin neck, and that goes down into her body, which, like, her arms look, I don't know, they're like super long. They almost look like paddles. And then the mermaid tail on Primarina has like a jellyfish frill around the waist, and then around the like the start of the feet. And it's a blue, like a dark blue mermaid tail. And then at the very end, after that frill, is Primarina's fins, which are both like white. And then on Primarina's head, there's a crown made out of pearls, and she has a pink starfish on the right side of her head, or on both sides actually. And then there is this just, it looks kind of like a clam shell coming out from the pearls and going backwards. And then from that clamshell comes her like marine, like bluish greenish hair that has pearls as like hair ties in it. So it's a very, honestly, I think it's a really well designed Pokemon. It has some great color in it, lots of personality, and it really sticks out from all the other starters. So this card came out in 2017. It's a Primarina, and it evolves from a Brioni. It has 150 HP, water type, and the little text underneath the image says that it's number 730, the soloist Pokemon. Its height is 5 feet 11 inches. Its weight is 97 pounds. This Primarina has 2 attacks. The first attack is called Disarming Voice. For a water and a colorless energy, it does 30 damage. It says your opponent's active Pokemon is now confused. Then its second attack is called Sparkling Area. For 2 water and a colorless energy, it does 100 damage. And it says heal 30 damage from this Pokemon. Now, in 2017, some water types were weak to grass. So this Primarina is actually weak to grass, and you will not see that again. I doubt the Pokemon Company is ever going to bring that back. And it has 2 retreat cost, no resistance. So the flavor text says, it controls its water balloons with song. The melody is learned from others of its kind and is passed down from one generation to the next. And that's pretty cool. That's some like deep lore. It shows how like social these Primarina are. And I'm curious like how long they've been doing this too. And I'd love to hear some songs from them. The illustrator is Kagemaru Himeno, and the art is it's pretty solid for like the first Primarina art that's come out. The attacks, they're okay. That's all I can really say. They're, nothing crazy with the attacks. Pretty basic, because this is like the first Primarina card. You got to start basic, and then hit them with a curveball later. So the art on this one is just basically a Primarina at the bottom of the ocean. There's some like coral around it, some blues and reds. There's purples, and in that coral is like the like rock formation, very smooth rock formation. Primarina is at the bottom of this ocean, but the top of the ocean's like not too far away, so you can see sunlight coming down, which is casting a shadow on the ground underneath her, and then you can also see all the ripples in the water. And she's just chilling, just swimming, not too much motion. You can't really tell if she's like going fast or anything like that, but maybe she might be like gliding through the water very slowly, and she's got a smile on her face. Yeah, it's pretty basic. I like it. The colors are very nice. This illustrator did a really good job on just like showing what Primarina might be like in the wild. Very cool. The next Primarina card I have is from 2018, so a year later. And it has 150 HP still, and it has an ability and an attack. The ability is called Harmonics. It says whenever you attach an energy card from your hand to one of your Pokemon, except with an attack, ability, or trainer card, attach up to 2 energy cards to that Pokemon instead of 1. And then it has the attack Hypno Splash for a water and 2 colorless energy. It does 80 damage, and it says your opponent's active Pokemon is now asleep. I love this ability. Harmonics is really cool because, it works with Primarina. Primarina likes to sing. And it's an ability that I honestly don't know if it's been printed before. I can't think of any cards off the top of my head that have this same ability. And it's really cool. It makes it so that you can, for your attachment for a turn, attach 2 energy to one of your Pokemon. This could be crazy in decks that use 2 different kinds of energy for their attack. First thing I can think of is Raging Bolt EX. So you could attach both of those energy for your turn and, still be able to do whatever else you want. I like it. And then the attack Hypno Splash, 80 damage isn't too much. It looks like you would 2-shot a lot of the stage 2s back then. But I like Asleep. Special conditions like Asleep are pretty cool. Poison Sweet. I kind of like them all, except for maybe Paralysis. That's a rude one. And then the flavor text on this card, it says, its singing voice is a chief weapon in battle. This Pokemon's trainer must prioritize the daily maintenance of its throat at all costs. Dang, bro. That's pretty cool. You gotta make sure that your Primarina's vocal cords don't go out, or you're donezo. It's GG's. That's sweet. That also just kind of gives you an insight on what it's like to be a trainer for a Primarina. I wonder what that would be like. Sounds cool. Now the art on this card, it's very action-esque. It shows Primarina in a total, moving pose. She's actively swimming through the water. So the shot is up close. You get to see Primarina's face, and her 2 arms are outstretched, almost like she's really pushing through the water. And then following behind her is her hair, and then her tail is in an arcing motion that spirals downward, almost like she's pushing with her tail at the same time. And you can kind of see it with the background as well. A lot of the rocks that are in the background are not very defined, so they're a little blurry. But you can also see there's not necessarily kelp, but tall growing grassy plants behind her. Further back, you mostly just see those rocks that aren't really defined. So she's almost in motion, and there's a lot of air bubbles around her as well. And of course, Primarina has that smile on her too. It's cool. It definitely is more of an active card, and the ability is very active as well. It's a powerful ability, so it matches. I like that. The final Primarina card I have is Primarina GX, and boy, this thing is shiny. The GX holo pattern is just a solid holo behind the Pokemon, and they only highlight a couple things. So Primarina's eyes have that holo effect in them, so they'll change color based on the angle that I'm holding the card, but everything else is pretty much not holo. Ooh, actually, there's one more thing. So I'll explain that later. But so with this card, this Primarina GX has 250 HP, water type. It has 2 attacks, Bubble Beat. This is for 2 colorless energy. It does 10 plus damage. It says this attack does 20 more damage times the amount of water energy attached to your Pokemon. And then its second attack is called Roaring Seas. For 3 water energy and 1 colorless energy, it does 120 damage. And then it says discard an energy from your opponent's active Pokemon. Then the gimmick with GXs was that they had like an attack or an ability that they could use. So, where I think it's just an attack. The GX attack on this Primarina is called Grand Echo GX. For 2 colorless energy, it says heal all damage from all of your Pokemon. Pretty busted. Again, it's weak to grass for ×2, has no resistance, and then has a 2 retreat cost. The illustrator for this card is 5-band graphics. You've probably seen a 5-band graphics card. They do like every basic EX, and I think they started doing every basic GX at the start of Sun and Moon. So they're cranking them out. And the 5-band graphics it's like a 3D computer render. It definitely doesn't look like hand drawn at all. And I'm sure that's why they can like make them so fast. But before I talk about the art, I actually wanted to talk about a Primarina deck that I built my wife. She's been playing this thing for it's been almost like 3 years, I think. It's gone through some changes, but this is like the only thing she likes to play. Primarina is like her favorite Pokemon, and we wanted to build a deck for her, but I play standard. I like to keep up with all the new cards coming out, and that's why I proxy so much. So I wanted to build her something that could keep up with decks like Charizard and Lugia and stuff like that. But unfortunately, Primarina GX is just not very powerful. The attack that we're utilizing is that Bubble Beat attack. So it does 20 damage times the amount of water energy attached to your Pokemon. So the whole idea is to just flood the board with energy so that she can hit like incredibly hard. And with the right stuff, you can do that pretty easy. So I've paired the Primarina GX with the Shady Dealings Inteleon and the Ice Dance Frostmoth. The Frostmoth allows you to like place as many water energy as you like on your bench Pokemon. So that's how you like increase your damage. And then the Shady Dealings Inteleon line lets you search your deck for trainer cards. So it has your like consistency plus your acceleration. And it keeps up, honestly, with a lot of the decks that I play. Yeah, I definitely do think that it's like slowing down and that there might be a better version, but for now it's just like super simple to play. You can win games with it. It's fun. Also because we play the Primarina GX as a basic Pokemon, just like all the EXs that are coming out that have like huge amounts of HP. We just play it as like a Primarina EX. And yeah, you can just play it down and hit for good damage. Sometimes it breaks up, but that's with every deck. Now, the art on this Primarina GX is pretty sweet. 5-band graphics definitely did Primarina justice. It shows Primarina in a total like attacking stance. She is forefront in the card with like her chest out and her arms spread out wide. And she has just this, I guess she's like singing, because you can see these like powerful like, what would you call that? Like sound, like lines made from sound in the water. And the hollow actually follows the lines, those like sound waves in the water, which is also a really nice touch. So she's in this action pose, screaming her heart out, and her hair is not in the pearl hair ties anymore. It's like outstretched and flowing. Because it's 5-band graphics, it looks like an octopus. Unfortunately, it doesn't look like hair, but maybe that's just how she looks. I would always imagined it more with like strands of hair instead of what's going on in this card. It definitely has like a shine to it, and it looks like octopus legs. So maybe that's what it is. And then her like fin and stuff kind of gets cut off towards the bottom right of the card, just because these cards aren't really made to be artistic as much as they are to just show the Pokemon and maybe an attack or something that they're doing. But I mean, to be the third card that was printed, it's pretty nice. It like they didn't miss when they were drawing these Primarina cards. Even the full art, which is what my wife uses in her deck. Even the full art's really nice. The blues work really well. The white stands out. Her tail is that dark blue, which is really pretty. And then her frills are like an off gray, kind of like purplish gray. And then they just filled the back of the full art card with just blue. And it just looks nice. I don't think that they messed up or did anything wrong with Primarina. The cards really resemble her well. The flavor text is great. And I think her design is just awesome. I wish that people would appreciate Primarina, or at least think about her, talk about her. Recently I watched the Alpha Red video, and dude, I thought Primarina was like dead. I was planning to do this podcast episode, and then I'm watching this Alpha Red video, putting my kid to sleep, and he's just like, yeah, Primarina is the coolest one, definitely like a top 10. And I'm like, what? Ain't no way you just said that, bro. So maybe there are some Primarina fans out there, and I hope this makes some more. Thanks for listening. If you want to give me any like card recommendations to talk about, I'm totally down. Hope I have them in my collection. I hope you guys check out the Proxy website, and I'm glad that you're here. Peace.